Alright guys, what's going on? Welcome to your next Android tutorial, and as I said last time, we're going to be working now on the AsyncTask loader, or AsyncTask, which is one of the more awkward concepts, we'll say. It's a funny class of Android, but it's very useful at the same time. It can be a bit difficult to get working. But here we're going to say, we're in our extends application object, and we're going to say public class, we're going to say image downloader. Extends A-Y, how do you spell A? That's obviously spelled incorrectly. Change to AsyncTask, that's it there. Okay. Now after AsyncTask we need our three properties. So we're just going to say void for now, okay? You know, the reason it's we're gonna have to keep these capitalized. Boom. And of course we're adding unimplemented methods. Okay, so this is our AsyncTask loader here, and essentially what we want to do is, I'm getting emails, what we want to do is essentially load an image, download an image in the background, and then load it into the UI when we're done. It's as simple as that. However, as you've seen with the run class, here, we just select the thread. Now we could use that to download an image, but how do we get that image into the UI? Because there is a rule in Android, and you can never break this rule. In fact, the app will crash if you try and do this. You can never modify the user interface from a second thread. Everything has to be done on the main thread for the user interface. You can load stuff in the background, you can do background tasks, you can download stuff, you can fetch information from the internet, you can scale images in the background, but you can never ever modify the UI from a second thread. That is like the golden rule of Android. Now you'll notice here I have Pixel Enemy up. This is actually an app I'm working on at the moment, or working on an update for, and we're going to be using some code from this. This is just some code I've written. I'll leave that on screen if you're a minute there. It's called public byte get image from URL, and it takes in a URL string, or string is URL, and it just I'll leave that there like that so you can see how it works. So you can copy that image if you want, but that's essentially an image downloader. You can use the Java X package, I think. I've never actually used that, but anyway, that's how you get an image downloaded. So what we want to do is we want to add another method here, okay? And we're going to add an on post execute, and then we have void. I can never remember these AsyncTask methods, they drive me crackers. I'm gonna have to go check these out now in a second, because these AsyncTask methods, AsyncTask drives me crackers, okay? It's one of the more complex methods, so I'm just going to check out what these methods are actually called on the document. Okay, so I've added in a new method called protected void on post execute. So what we're going to do is we want to pass a URL into this method and then have it execute here. So these methods here, okay, are the two key ones. The do in background is executed, all the code in here is executed on a background thread, and then when the thread finishes executing, when the thread is finished executing, it will execute this method here, which runs on the main thread. So essentially we can tell this to run this in the background and then execute on the other thread. Naturally enough, so it makes sense, doesn't it? What we do is we tell this to, find the image here, pass it into this method, and then execute. So essentially what we're doing here is we're passing a method, like anything returned here goes in here. So it's a little bit confusing, but we're going to put a string here, okay? String, okay? And then we're going to put in string here. You need to change it like that. And we're going to say string URL. Okay? And return here, we're actually going to change this to bitmap we're going to return a bitmap that's going to be put into our image view. So we're going to say bitmap, okay, and we have to import bitmap naturally enough, and then I believe it's this one here is bitmap needs to be changed. Nope, that's the ticket. Yes, that one there. Now the third parameter here is used for on progress updates, so you can have it change things as it goes along. And obviously here this return method is now needs to return a bitmap. When you see the code working, it's going to work. So we're going to use this image, this thing here, which is gets the data from a URL and as an image into a byte array, and then we'll process that byte array. So this is just a quick and dirty way essentially of getting our image ready. So what we're going to do is we're going to say bitmap return, not bitmap return, bitmap equals null for now, and we're going to say I'm going to make a byte array. I'm going to call this image data equals get image fucking hell from URL, which is our method from below, and we're going to pass in the string of the URL that we're given. Now we haven't actually got this URL string here yet. Okay, so what this is doing here is this is telling us now, look, it's telling us that it's a string array. So see this dot 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 here, that means array. So if we get rid of that, however, it gives us an error. So this is one of the things of AsyncTask I don't understand. Okay, I honestly don't understand this. Literally just going to tell you what to do, and I know I said I'd try and teach us how I understand it, and I just don't get this. So we're quickly just going to create a string called URL2 equals URL 0 to get the first parameter, to get the first array part of that array. So you can pass arrays of strings in here, I believe, and then we're just going to say URL2, and now we're going to get that. Okay, so now we've got our bitmap and we've got our image data. We're going to quickly change over to a separate application. This is code from another app I'm working on, but essentially this doing background here, we need to just say, we're just going to copy and paste some code because I'm lazy. So now we've got our URL. Now we're going to actually create the image and scale it. All this is done in the background, don't forget. We can get rid of this bit here. And that's me making a fool of myself. But essentially we're just creating a byte array input stream, and we're just where's the image data, which takes in a byte array and creates an input stream, and then you can use the bitmap.createScale bitmap and the bitmap factor to code stream method to create our URL. So we're going to make this 200 times 200. Now this is code I've tested before. So, and then we want to return our bitmap. Naturally enough, that's fair enough. So what we're doing now is, if you haven't noticed, is that we are returning our bitmap. So what we're doing, all this here is doing, this is a method I wrote. You can do this any way you want, you can Google around for that. But essentially what this is it's taking in a string and returning a bitmap. And that bitmap actually gets returned into this method. So all this is done on a second thread for us, and then this method here is going to be used to generate our to load up our image. So we're going to have to get a reference to our image somehow, aren't we? We need a reference to get our image, and we're actually going to create a constructor for this. Okay, public image downloader. Okay, and we're just going to say I am image view view. We're just going to quickly create a constructor to make things a little bit easier. Change to constructor. Yeah, there we go. It's now a constructor. And then we're just going to have an image view object up here. View image. And then we're just going to say image equals view, and then view equals none to allow the garbage collector to get that set up. So we're just setting our image to image. So then we're going to say image down here dot. Oh damn! I actually can't think about it. I think it's set image bitmap. That's it. There, I couldn't remember for a second. My was brain farting. Anyway, so what we're doing now is we're creating our thing, passing our image view into the class. Then when it extends this, then we're going to pass in our image view. Then our URL is going to be taken in, download the image in the background, create a scaled version of the image, and then set that to our image view. So of course we're going to need an image view, naturally enough, somewhere to stick it. So our class, or our layout, is our multi-threading layout. So we're going to go to multi-threading. Okay, and we're going to go to our graphical, and we're just going to add an image view in here. So we're going to say layouts, images, media. Here's our image view object, and we're just going to put the twist of the logo here. You have to have a default one, and then we're just going to edit its ID to image view, down loaded image, and it's OA, not AO. I'm very bad at spelling. Not a great thing to have when you're programming. Okay, so now we've done that. So we're going to change this pause second thread. We just go into our values and modify the string used for it. So here's our pause second. I'm just going to say download image. Download image. And if you have a blob type in the database, you can actually store images in the database. So if you change that, download image, that'll change itself in a bit once it refreshes. In fact, I might just refresh it now. And that's not working. Yay. Anyway, so we have that. That's okay. So in our image multi-threading, we're going to get rid of all this, or we can get rid of this part here. Okay, and the first thing we do is we're going to get a reference to our image view, as usual. Image view, we'll just call it image. Image view, and this is a activity, so we can just say find by ID dot, and it's called downloaded image. Okay, Control Shift O to get our import for image view. Grand. So now what we're going to do is we're going to say app, or we're going to say image downloader, I think it's called. Image loader equals app dot new image downloader. I believe this is it for accessing the inner class. Yeah, I spelled it wrong. Yeah, so we have to add the argument for our image view, so we're just going to type in image. Boom. And done. And then we're going to, now in order to start the thread working, image loader dot execute And we still need our string parameters, don't we? We need our parameter string, so we need a URL of some kind. So what we're going to do is we're going to bring up, I'll just find a suitable image. So the image we're going to find is this one here. So I've copied and pasted this URL, and it should be here like so. Boom. So there's our URL. We just need to put that in like that, to put it in a string format. And now when we press that button, it'll execute. This will pass in our image view into the constructor, and then we're going to execute, and we've got our parameter, which will then take in the URL string, find it on the internet, get our byte array for our image data, decode the byte array, scale that image, and then put it on the and then return the bitmap here, which will then put it on our user interface. So I'm going to start up the emulator and we'll see if it works. Oh, before I start up while I'm starting the emulator, I want to show you something here. I got a very useful tip. If you want it to start up faster, change the heap size to 128. I found someone actually commented that on a video, and it's an amazing trick. It should really help your emulator start up a lot faster. Okay, so you have it now. So multi-threading and download image, and this image should change once it's downloaded. Oh, we got a bug. What a shock. Where the devil is it? I've made quite a hilarious Android error. We're accessing the internet, aren't we? We need to add a permission. You know when you start up an app or install an app on your Android phone or tablet and asks you for what permissions? Well, we haven't added a permission for it yet. So we're just going to go into the manifest, and we have to add a permission. So just go to permissions tab, add permission, name. Oh, great. So we'll just add our network permission. In fact, I'm too lazy to go find the code for it. So I'm just going to open up an app that I know has the permission in it. Let's see, here's the manifest for another app I have. Let's see, let's look for permissions. Yeah, uses permission. That's the one there. Boom. So we need to add this permission. And there's a blank one, but there we go. Uses permission, android.permission.internet. Done. You have to do that, or it just won't work. Obviously, because the app can't access the internet, therefore the Android will block it because it didn't ask permission. So it's installing, and it should work now. Can't believe I forgot to add permission. No, whoopsie. Going back, multi-threading, download image, and look, wha-bam! Check it out. We have our image has downloaded onto this device and been scaled correctly to fit, which is very nice. Now, of course, this is just displaying the image as is. What we could do is we could get rid of the scaling, just create the bitmap, and then the image view will do scaling for us. But as you can see, we downloaded our image. Easy peasy. So that's downloading stuff from the internet in the background. That's the AsyncTask. I'm sorry this video is going to be long, but the AsyncTask is a very useful tool for loading stuff in the background. A good example is that in an app that I've worked on, the Pixel Enemy app, the images in the list views are actually being handled on a separate thread and scaled. Therefore, the list view is, the UI is greatly speeded up. So, if something's going to take longer than half a second, you should definitely use AsyncTask Loader or some sort of multi-threading system to load stuff in the background and do stuff like that. But anyway, guys, hope you enjoyed. Our next video will cover some new Android stuff as usual, and that's that.